Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to Into the Nexus, the Heroes of the Storm podcast. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, and sitting to my left is Kyle Ferguson. I'm saying virtually sitting to my left. You have a new camera, sir, and you look fabulous.
Oh, thank you. All this sitting, all this visual stuff. I apologize, podcast audience, but imagine how you would think I look, and then make it more crisp.
Make it even prettier.
Right,
yeah.
Because I've been horribly wrong with every podcaster I think I've listened to. Start building that mental picture.
Oh, yeah.
You finally see him, and you just go, oh, no!
Yeah,
No.
The world shatterer for me was Scott Johnson. Listened to him do shows for years. Finally saw a picture of him, and I honestly don't remember what I thought he looked like. I just know it was nothing like he actually looked.
Right.
So, there's that. Hey, before we get into some hardcore Heroes of the Storm discussion, Kyle, I want to remind those of us who support us the most, the patrons of Into the Nexus over at patreon.com/ITN, that if for whatever reason you missed it, Patreon was hacked last week. There's an official post on patreon.com from the founder letting everyone know exactly what happened. It looks like most of the stuff, like passwords and credit card information, was encrypted. But just to be on the safe side, we've been reminding all of our listeners on all of the shows that have Patreons to update your passwords if you have not done so already. And if you, for some reason, use the same password with whatever email it is that you signed up for with Patreon, you should probably change that password too. And shame on you for using the same password for multiple accounts, because no one ever does that, right?
No one ever just has about 4 passwords that they've had since they were 16 and just kind of cycles through them. No one would ever
do that. Right? I definitely don't do exactly kind of what you're saying. I definitely have done that.
Hey, I've got an extra superpower when it comes to passwords, though. Dyslexia. And all my passwords are horribly misspelled. So even if I said it aloud, I bet you couldn't get in.
That's a really good point. Hey, that's a fun little perk, I guess.
Right?
As long as
some superpowers are better than others. I'll never forget watching Fox Kids X-Men, and Cyclops, tortured by the fact that he can never really look upon the woman he loves without blowing her skin off. And then his little brother shoots lasers out of his hands at will. What a dick.
Yeah. Oh, geez, wow. And honestly, all of them, I mean, Rogue is the one that has it the hardest, so they should all just shut up. At least Cyclops can wear glasses and function.
Yeah, just draining powers, and then she can fly and have super strength because she killed people. Sweet.
Exactly.
Way to go, Rogue.
Yeah, way to go. At least you're not all as lame as Jubilee.
I felt in a VCR. How will the world go on?
Oh, jeez.
She was supposed to be the hip, relatable one for us, just like the kids in the Transformers cartoons.
Yeah. The characters you wish weren't there, so you could just get to the awesome fights. Anyways, how's your week in Heroes going, Kyle?
It's a toss-up.
Have you been avoiding Heroes League like you said that you would, with the mantra that you live and die by, that anytime there's a new hero that is unleashed into the world, that you just stay the hell away from Heroes League for a week? Have you been doing that?
I made suggestions last time. I didn't promise myself in anything.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You sounded like you were preaching, sir.
I was informing those that would be upset by losing the points that they should be wary. I myself did get in there quite a bit. I did solo Q&A this week in the Heroes League as well, and that was an experience, to say the least.
Okay.
Morales's are a bit rough, bit of a toss-up. There's a lot of people that, of course, really just embraced her, loved her on the PTR. They take her straight into, rank 1 Heroes League, and we're having a grand time. And then other ones are just like, hey, why not? And then they don't understand that they can never heal themselves, and it really is just a constant positional battle playing Morales. Yeah,
I've been mercilessly just targeting Morales's in every single game that I play this week. And
I'm sure it works well for you.
It's working quite well.
Yeah. It's nice, isn't it?
I have stayed away from Heroes League because I do get a bit salty when I'm losing points because people are picking new heroes instead of heroes they actually know how to play.
Sure.
So I've stayed out of Heroes League. I've been playing nothing but Quick Match, and the games are going okay. It's always Morales versus Morales, and I'm always an assassin, and our Morales always does better than theirs because theirs is dead.
Right, exactly. It's a big learning time, too. So for me, quick match is not where I want to be because the level of play is just altogether different. I'm going to see people who, maybe weren't around during the time when Stitches was king. And now he's back, and in a big way.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. So you're seeing him in Hero League again?
Oh yes, and of course, the first day in, we're all kind of hesitant about Stitches. There's a lot of people, of course, they show up, they pick him, and my first reaction is, oh, this is just some guy who was previously in love with him, and we get in game. He's got master skin or something else that is just showing how much time he's put into Stitches in the past, and he's pretty kick-ass, right?
Yeah,
but we lose a ton of damage because we're nervous that he can't solo tank. And I'm here to say that he absolutely can. It's definitely a comp thing, You wouldn't want to Stitches solo tank in a team that is very flighty. You need to let Stitches make the hooks and call the shots. And that comes to the real problem with doing a double tank with Stitches is, I'll be Leoric, very used to solo tanking, doing my thing, picking off big old handfuls with my swing, being positional, body blocking, and I'm wailing on a Kael or something. Whoop, there he goes. And I'm all of a sudden all by myself while the guy I was trying to kill got pulled 30 yards. And then I get killed because, well, I'm out by myself all of a sudden.
Gotcha. All right, so you're having to retrain yourself on Stitches etiquette.
Right, and that's something I really don't want to in the future take a second tank into. Maybe something that is pure disruption would be good. Maybe that ETC, maybe that Johanna would be a better role there. But Stitches just really kind of calls the shots repeatedly for the game. And everyone has to be listening to him and not dividing their attention among multiple shot callers.
Gotcha. All right. I haven't had anything that sounds nearly as refined or professional as what sounds like have been your experiences this week.
Sure. And, if you're doing quick match, there's a lot of talents, choices that are excellent in quick match. I mean, my Zeratul build is, frankly, an embarrassment if I were to take it into Heroes League. And I'm not a particularly good Heroes League Zeratul, but in quick match, I'm quite badass, I take like stone skin, first aid, like everything is just to keep myself alive because I don't trust my healer or my tank in that environment, and I really do bring the hurt. But in Heroes League, I got to ditch all those things for pure damage and be really flighty and trust my healers and my tanks.
Right. I have trust issues too, Kyle. Don't feel bad. With my healers, not people in my real life.
You can have a couple of those, man. We're not asking anyone to be perfect.
I'm just like someone out there is reading really into this, like Garrett's about to get married. He's saying he has trust issues. I'm reading into this. I know what's going on, man. I'm gonna get a really interesting email later. Is basically what I'm trying to tell you, Kyle.
I also saw some really, really successful solo heal Tyrandas this week.
Ooh, have you?
Yes.
I haven't tried that. I haven't really messed with it, which is funny. Because last week, that's all I was talking about. I just kind of forgot about it. And I was just like, this week it's all just been like, I just want to get my dailies done. I'm kind of pushing Vala towards 10 because why not get another Master Skin?
Right, why not? And in fact, I'm here to say that Tyranda's solo heal spec is actually very aggressive. You maybe might take Protective Shield. You maybe might take Healing Ward. Really, the only thing that everyone's getting is Overflowing Light at 13, which increases the power of heal.
Yeah, which most people were already getting. It's really no different. If you looked 2 weeks ago on Hot Slogs, that was still the most picked talent.
Which also means like Shadow Stalk's just shot way up because it's a good heal over time. The burst heal is pretty decent, but everything else, man, you get your Storm Shield at level 20, but it's True Shot auras and decreased cooldowns on your Hunter's Marks and stun range.
Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I'll support us as Tyrande tonight in the after show game.
That sounds good. I mean, when you do like a double tank comp, switching out your support for something higher damage can really just kind of fill up that gap that you've now made for yourself. Yeah. And I think that's what we're really finding in this patch as we get suddenly more and more warriors in. People like Leoric, while they only got a tiny nerf, suddenly feel a lot worse because we have really strong tanks in the fight. And Leoric, as a secondary tank, should be doing a ton of damage. He lost that damage that he needed to do. And I still like him as a solo tank, but there's plenty of opportunities for other people to pick that up. ETCs. I've seen a couple Diablos this week. They're doing okay.
I had a Diablo in my quick match earlier today, man, that just couldn't be happier to be Diablo. He loves the game and just like, not all caps, but just, I am the Lord of Terror, a bunch of exclamation points, and he's just gallivanting away in his master skin. I'm just like, it's good to see more than 2 tanks again.
Yeah. And that's really the story of it, and I'm very happy. And, Reddit, kind of had a post this week that's very rare for a video game subreddit, thanking the devs for putting out patch after patch that has continued to improve the game. And that is a rather bizarre feat in the world of modern multiplayer video gaming.
No, yeah, and I think they're doing a bang-up job. I mean, I know, week in and week out, if you listen to the show, from time to time, we're really kind of harping on the game, but overall, I mean, I don't think we'd still be doing a show about it if we weren't really enjoying it. And it's been just awesome to watch this thing kind of grow since the tech alpha.
Yeah.
Because it's like, think about today. Think about logging into Heroes right now, and then think about what it was like, over a year ago when you logged into the tech alpha and how far it has come.
Right. And a lot of people weren't there for that. So Stitches is really throwing them for a loop, whereas I'm just saying, walk sideways, be horizontal. Don't, move always in that straight line when you're escaping.
Yeah.
But those things are everything we have to learn together yet again now that he's back in.
Don't make your path predictable.
Yep.
If you're up against the Stitches, don't do that. So, anyways, Kyle, let's go ahead and move forward. Let's get into this week's into the Nexus news. Heroes of the Storm news.
We're on, boys! Ha ha! Let's liven up this place!
Point me to the stage.
Stay a while and listen.
I know this is news, but Number Fox just brought up artifacts. Yeah, oof. That was 1 week. I'm really happy it didn't become more than 1 week.
Yeah.
Oh, just terrible.
For those not in the know, that was a upgrade system with gold for your hero and actually affected your stats in the game.
Yep. It was rough.
Yeah.
No bueno. Didn't enjoy it. Reminder, folks, itncast.reddit.com is where you can go to submit stories for us to talk about on the show or talk about what we discussed in this episode. Obviously, the big news this week is that the Lieutenant Morales patch is live. And there's not a ton for us to talk about because we dove really deep into it last week. So if for whatever reason you missed it and you want to hear us discuss the patch kind of in a deep dive scenario, check out Into the Nexus episode 69 from last week. It's on namemove.tv/ITN. But now that that's out of the way, I'm loving the new patch, man. If for no other reason than for the UI improvements, it is so nice to have those in the live game now. I love the fountain timer, the buff icons, just all the stuff that's underneath my health bar now. A, should have been there from the beginning, but B is very welcome now that it is here.
It's really clean, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
One of the changes that hasn't been... It's really cool. I like that I can continue to keep my mind in the game while I'm loading up is the load screen, but I've actually experienced my load screen trolls this week.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. I had a particular Sonya, which is well documented.
What is a...
who got straight into the game and said, "Oh, what the heck are a rank 3 and a rank 2 doing in my rank 1 game?" And then proceeded to flame them the entire time.
What the F ever?
And then this is leading to a lot of people changing their account portraits to show their account level rather than their actual league level.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't. It's hard to account for jackasses.
Right. You can't think of everything they're gonna get mad about.
Because Kyle, I live in a world where I choose to believe that the people developing this game are genuinely or are generally nice people who kind of enjoy the camaraderie that comes with a team PvP game like this. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be surprised if they also found it hard to kind of account for jackasses.
Exactly. And it's a bizarre thing. It comes from other MOBAs, really, when you get down to it. The carry mentality in League of Legends and Dota is that if you are the biggest, awesomest man on your team, you will get all the kills and you will get all the items and then become unstoppable. And everyone else is more there to support you. These are those Illidan's that forget that the Tassadar is keeping them mad alive, or your sweet Abathur play is actually causing the win when everyone else is kind of running around, almost dying.
I would argue that it's not coming from other MOBAs, Kyle. I would argue that it's just coming from people who are jerks, because there are jerks in the world and they play video games.
Right, we all need escapism to an extent. I play these games to enjoy a bit of role-playing, be like, ooh, now I'm Arthas, I'm the king of the Scourge. Wow, how cool. And they might, throughout their day, have to be in customer service. And they're pissed off, and they go home at the end of the day, and they want to yell at some people, darn it, because they got yelled at all day.
They just want to, digitally kill people.
Mm-hmm. That's all they want.
Yeah, I have no patience for those type of people. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
All the same, it's interesting to report that my solo queue experience has ranged all the way down to rank 6.
Really?
Yeah, now getting to see everyone without actually, looking them up after the game, which just for the most part you don't do, clicking through everybody like that. I have seen down to rank 6. And, I haven't really felt like those guys have underperformed. I certainly go in trusting them less. But ideally, of course, our MMRs are similar, or they're in a 2-stack, and, well, anything can happen there.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, haven't played Hero League this week, so I can't really report on it. Last week, I feel like I made a decent climb. I think I ended at 16 or 15. I forget where I'm sitting now. Yeah, working my way up, but been spending a lot of time in quick match. But
Sure.
Oh man, I'm looking at some of your notes in here. Lieutenant Morales' win rate, not great.
No, in fact, the lowest yet of any releasing hero, 39.6%.
So that's 2 in a row now, because Rexar was the last hero to release, and he released at the time at the lowest win rate of a new hero.
Yeah, and here we are thinking that new heroes have power creep because Blizzard wants to sell them.
Yeah. Now, that said, Rexar has moved up, quite substantially.
Right. And the fixate change really helps him with that.
Yeah, he's now sitting on hot logs. I just always feel the need to point that out. We don't have access to Blizzard's actual numbers, but on hot logs, he's sitting at a 50.2% win rate. So that's perfectly fine. Now, Morales all the way there at the bottom. I think that's okay. Morales doesn't strike me as an easy hero to learn.
No, not
right?
at all. And anytime they release a tank or a support that has no movement ability at all, we're going to see numbers like this because people need to learn to be reserved. In fact, the top spec for Morales right now, top winning spec statistically, is almost an entire build around keeping yourself alive, making sure you get auto safeguards on yourself, a block talent in there, and only after you stack that for the first 2 levels do you branch out at all into anything that's going to help your teammates.
Gotcha. Cool. Is that the link I see in the show notes? Can we refer people to that?
Right, exactly. You'll see
Wonderful.
that at the bottom of the Hot Slogs page. And if you are not familiar with Hot Slog, this is where you should be getting your builds every time. There's some great write-ups out there. If you don't know how to play a hero and you want that write-up, look them up. But ultimately, it's up to the creator of a spec to update it. And these patches are happening every 4 weeks right now. Hot Slogs is going to be the real place to find out a good spec for yourself.
I look at it frequently, and then I crack open Heroes Nexus, the little talent builder, and then I make my builds, but I learn them from Hot Logs, and then I have a bazillion bookmarks for all my different heroes.
Right, and looking at them, if you're in this game for long enough, you've played enough, you can infer what they're going for. Of course, auto safeguard on yourself plus block. We need survivability.
Yep.
And then Stim is actually the number 1 picked alt. Medivac is not winning very much.
Well, I'm not. Are you surprised? I'm not surprised.
I did have a game last night where I called down, the sweet Medivac. It was going to carry us from the enemy's base. We were pushing their keep wall all the way into their main, and they were rezzing. So I said, everyone's rezzing, pop the Medivac. We're going to fly back to our side of the map and be safe. And no one got in. No one got in time. I think I carried ETC away, which of course left a Kael. It's always a Kael to die.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, it's a talent. You put it on one person, and that one person starts to kill things a lot more.
And we're going to see that too because of combos. People want to get in with their friends. And of course, Stimpack is a very seductive talent with that 75 increased attack speed and 25% movement speed. It is incredible on Rainers. And of course, there's been many videos floating around of Hammers getting this buff and decimating everything.
It's nuts. And I'm glad that happened because I wasn't last week. You're like, man, I want to see Stim Drone on a Hammer.
Right.
I'm not even sure that was in the show. That might have just been in a game. Kyle and I play so much Heroes together that what we say in a game that no one ever else gets to see and what we say on the show just starts to blur together.
Yep. So that, she's doing all right. I think, over time, I think over the next week, we're definitely going to see her break 45% easy as people who just bought her for fun realize they maybe don't like her positionally. And those who embrace her continue to get that win rate up. A number of bugs also transferred over, and this is important for Abathar players out there. Monstrosity has a new ability. When you hit R while it's out, you will automatically symbiote your Monstrosity, which is an awesome tool to go check on that guy regularly when you're, looking over the map and taking care of your friends, want to go back to your Monstrosity and get him pushing. But the bug is that if you use it on him, he will be paralyzed and will never move without your direction again.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Hope to see that hot fixed ASAP.
Kind of a big deal, but at the same time, he got a kind of underhanded nerf. He can now deep tunnel to a place where he previously had vision, but lost it. So often I'm going to dig to join a pushing lane, some mercenaries, and they walk out of range, I lose sight, and after, 3 seconds of casting, it's just canceled. It's very clumsy, and that's now fixed.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. But, yeah, that's not good about the Monstrosity. They need to fix that. It's nice to see all of the bottom tanks kind of moving up in the statistics too. Speaking of Hotslogs data, I mean, we've only had the patch for 3 days now, barely.
Right, so we haven't even had a full week to see where these numbers could really get to. But the fact that the excited people who are getting on at the ground floor of these tanks that they previously loved are winning is really good news for the meta. Because if you got in, you love Diablo, and you lose, guess what? You're probably not picking him again.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other quick notes you wanted to make about this patch?
Tassadar actually is continuing to have Archon builds, which is important to note because everyone was excited about Force Wall. But it's important to get out there that Tassadar is still a secondary support. He has a tough time doing the solo thing, and he really benefits the team by contributing that extra bit of damage.
I feel weird. I feel kind of like I should go, yeah, I was right, but I'm celebrating Tassadar not being as good as I wanted him to be since the beginning. So
he got a sweet graphic update, though. His armor looks all armory.
Oh yeah, no,
plastic.
Armory. Yeah, that's a great descriptor, Kyle. No, he looks wonderful. If you saw the Legacy of the Void cinematic, the Protoss in it were just super shiny. It looked like they have never seen a Zerg, let alone have one actually take a nick out of their armor. So he's been kind of brought up to speed with the new and shiny Legacy of the Void look, which makes sense. It's right around the corner. I can't wait for it. And just sidebar. Can I sidebar with you here for a second, Kyle? Can we have just a super mini StarCast?
Sure. Are we going to talk about Whispers of Oblivion? Because I've already played it. It's awesome.
No, I haven't. I haven't pre-ordered yet because I'm going to be out of town. when it launches.
But no, they changed that.
What? No.
You can get it in StarCraft now.
I know.
And play
I know.
missions without pre-order.
I know. I haven't pre-ordered because it's pointless because I'm not going to be here on launch day. So I'm going to be on honeymoon. So I'm just going to buy it when I get back in a store like a normal person.
But you don't need to pre-order to get the missions.
I know, but there's enough things going on. The thing I'm complaining about is I'm a giant, massive collector's edition fanboy. However, the number one reason, Kyle, the number one reason I pick up every collector's edition is, you should know this,
the art book?
The art book. There is no art book for Legacy of the Void.
What?
Why in God's green earth is there no art book for Legacy of the Void? I
What
don't
a
understand
bizarre
it.
change of
There's a
pace.
field manual, which sounds like the lamest thing ever from the description. It's like a bunch of lore writings and some small illustrations. So I don't think I'm getting the collector's edition of Legacy of the Void. I think I'm going to save my money because that's a huge sticking point for me. Like, StarCraft art's amazing. Why the crap is there no art book?
Oh, that's a shame.
I'm hoping one gets released just by like a standalone, but I don't know.
Maybe
We'll see.
that's it. Maybe they don't want to do the limited printings anymore, and they're going to come out with an art book later.
I don't know, man.
It's cool having those little numbers on the back of the book. You feel special, even though the numbers are in like the 100,000s. You're still like, yeah, I got copy 50,009 too.
Yeah, I don't care about that. I seriously like the books, and that's the reason I buy them. But sad stuff. Incredibly personal issue with a Blizzard product. But let's move on and talk about the European Championship, which just wrapped up. We got to see the top 8 teams from the European region competing for one of 2 BlizzCon spots. Spoiler alert, people who care are gone. Okay. Na'Vi and Dignitas are your European Heroes champions. Yeah.
One more of a champion than the other, though.
Yeah.
A bit.
What are you possibly referencing? Are you talking about a possible 3-0 stomp by Na'Vi over Dignitas?
Na'Vi owned the entire darn tournament.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
they
Now, if
really
you're going to
did.
be placing bets on BlizzCon, one of the best things you can really look at is practice. And I'm just picking my guys based on practice because I know where they come from. Na'Vi has a stellar Dota team. So they know how to actually practice and put in the work. These other teams, they might hustle. They might report over 40 hours a week. But, with history comes actual effective practices.
Yeah. And it was interesting too because going into the European Championship, if you were paying attention to the opens, it didn't seem as clear cut as ours here in the Americas because we had Tempo Storm winning all 3 opens undefeated, not dropping a single game, and Cloud9 placing very high in all 3 of the events as well. So going into it, those were the 2 teams that we were keeping an eye on, that we were saying these are the favorites to win it, and they ended up doing exactly that. Now there was an upset at the very end when Cloud9 beat Tempo Storm because if you and I were sitting here being like, Tempo Storm's got this. That didn't turn out to be the case. But going into the European Championship, that was not the case. Every single Open had a different winner. September Open had Rocat take first place. Liquid took first place in August, and Na'Vi took first place in the July Open, way back in July. So now, like most of these teams performed, like they placed very consistently, of course, across all 3 opens, including Dignitas, who were previously known as Team Bob ? And then they got sponsored by Team Dignitas going into the European Championship. But yeah, I didn't really know what to expect out of it, and I wasn't expecting a 3-0 stomp. But damn, you make really good points. Na'Vi, is a historically a very strong team in MOBAs in general. They won the International 3 for Dota.
Oh, the one I was at.
TI4 then.
No, the one before that. Yeah, it was 3 then. It was
Okay,
3.
it was the International 3. Yeah. So they have a MOBA pedigree.
They do. And that's why their winning team on the final map just worked so amazingly for them. The team was Abathur, Uther, Butcher, Falstad, Kerrigan. No tank at all. I mean, Kerrigan took block. Okay. That's about as tanky as you can get her at level 1.
Yeah.
And Abathur actually went a Nest spec, which was extremely cool to see. And it's something I've been kind of toying around mentally, because if you go Ultimate Evolution, guess what? You can't symbiote anyone. So there's no point actually putting everything into symbiote if you're just going to turn into somebody and not be able to save them for 15 some odd seconds.
Right, absolutely. Then also, Uther here, pretty tanky as well. You got Uther and Kerrigan. Kind of, obviously Kerrigan's going to be your front line, but Uther's going to be in the mix stunning people. They can take some hits, especially with an Abathur throwing hats on everybody.
Right, Butcher, and then you got Falstad flipping around the back to clean up. But their combo was pretty incredible, doing the Lamb to the Slaughter plus Mighty Gust. And we're talking level 10 here. So Butcher would grab one guy, and then the rest of the team would try to group up around them. Dignitas tried to protect the one guy locked down, and they would just mighty gust them all away. Of course, the person locked down is just hitting that chain over and over again, getting stunned while that gust is going on.
Yeah. Just insane. I've never seen this before, Kyle.
Right, and then the other thing that just amazed me was the Ultimate Evolution play. They used it defensively. They would get in a battle, and the battle would start to go maybe a little sour, or they wanted out, and that's when they would Ultimate Evolution in, and he would just cause chaos, since he can die with limited XP given to the other team.
Right. Just phenomenal play. And this is exactly what I'm hoping, or what I was hoping we were going to get out of the BlizzCon finals. I hope once we have all of these regions meeting at BlizzCon that we're just going to see just meta craziness. Plays, compositions, play styles that we are not used to seeing in the Americas, and I can't wait. I even mentioned this on the English Chicken. I am more excited for the Heroes World Championship than any other single tournament at BlizzCon this year, and that's really cool for me because usually it's StarCraft, and not taking anything away from that, I'm so ready to see Heroes on this type of stage with this type of talent.
Well, and let's face it, too, for StarCraft right now, we're about to have a huge shift in the meta. They are taking away basically the first 2 minutes of boring economics and replacing it with rather instant get-to-work mechanics. And so if we watch StarCraft there, in the back of your mind, it's constantly saying, yeah, this is cool, but everything's going to change in 10 days.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I think being the final Heart of the Swarm champion that has some gravity to it.
Sure.
Because that's how StarCraft always goes. You know, you had StarCraft, then you had like the Brood War era, then we had the Wings of Liberty era, now we have the Heart of the Swarm era, and once that's over, it's over, and it will be Legacy of the Void from here on out.
Very true. No, I'm excited to see what they do. I'm excited to see what they do with the arena, too, because we've seen, some hints, of course. They got their lights, they got their confetti underwork. We've learned a lot through esports getting to these points. But what's the BlizzCon production like?
Yeah, I have a feeling, why would they do anything less than they did last year? And I'm not sure how they could top last year's, unless they're going to hire a bunch of people to do performance art battles dressed as the units below the screen as the actual battles happen. That's the only thing I can think of that would make it possibly more exciting.
I don't know. I saw that, what was it, the release of Pandaria in Asia, and that was one of the most awkward things on Earth. When they had Chen come out and dance, and there was a Murloc, and it was just, hey, here's random people in costumes with no fanfare or introductions or explanation as to what's going on. Yep.
Oh man, I remember that. That was a while ago. Yeah, that was super awkward. But hey, different sensibilities.
That's a Blizzard release party, really, is what it comes down to.
Speaking of StarCraft, we're dipping really deep into the StarCraft love pool today, Kyle. Yeah, come on in, everyone. The water's nice. It's the water's actually creep, so it's not that nice, but come on in nonetheless. If you pre-ordered Legacy Void, you're gonna get a little perk. Well, I guess technically, if you pre-purchase the digital version of Legacy of the Void, you're gonna get access to Artanis on October 20th, which is apparently 1 full week before he goes on sale to everyone else on October 27th. So we have a release date for Artanis. He is coming out on October 27th, and there's also a link on the official post for this, saying that if you pre-ordered a physical collector's edition copy, they can actually call Blizzard, prove that you pre-ordered it, and get the same perk.
Right, what a nightmare, but cool that they're doing that.
Yeah, it's better than literally all the other times I've purchased collector's editions. So, although now that there's no art book, I'll probably just get the digital version.
So this is an interesting precedent if we move this into the future, that if you pre-purchase, you get him early. And there is going to be one crazy psychotic week where we'll have actually limited Artanises in the pool.
Yeah. And if you're like me, or you listen to Kyle and you don't do Hero League when a new hero is out, it's like this weird 2-week window. It's like, what is it safe? Is that on week 2? Is that Artanis that I'm paired up with? Did he have it last week, or is this his first game with Artanis?
Right. At least when I went into Heroes League this past week, I had a little bit of comfort that these people might love Morales from the PTR. That is not going to be the case, and I think it'll be perfectly acceptable for a little bit of animosity for those Artanises come October 20th.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really bother me. I can see how some people would be rather annoyed by this. You know, if you don't play StarCraft, that you're kind of locked out of a new hero for a week. And it is going to be in there causing disruption in Hero League. It is a little strange, but I don't know. For me personally, it doesn't really bother me all that much.
Yeah.
So.
It won't be a big deal.
Yeah. You know what does
bother? It's cool to imagine, right? That it's all going to fall apart.
Yes. It will just it'll be like I don't know, man, a battle cruiser just up in your stuff. A carrier just dropping interceptors. What's going on?
Cool.
Why did he build this? This is StarCraft 2, not StarCraft 1. And then you still win anyway because he built carriers.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I beat the Whispers of Oblivion missions.
Yeah, but
carriers all the time.
While I'm totally okay with Artanis being released a week early for StarCraft pre-orders, you know what does bother me? Hackers.
Oh, yeah. Well, you should be happy then.
I am. Heroes community manager Spirian posted on the official forums this week that Blizzard, quote, recently suspended several accounts and issued permanent bans to Heroes of the Storm players who were found to be in violation of the Battle.net terms of use for cheating and/or using hacking programs. So, yeah. And thank you for doing this research, Kyle. We apparently discussed these hackers back on episode 58 of Into the Nexus.
So it takes Blizzard a while, right? That's 12 weeks. We're on episode 70 here.
Mm-hmm.
But as we know, they want to make sure they actually don't show those hackers who get banned how they got caught. And that's what slows it down.
Right. So, nonetheless, good to see them swinging the ban hammer. I don't like hackers in my games. I personally haven't, at least I don't think I've come into contact with any hackers. Who knows? You know what? Actually, Kyle, no. Every single time I've lost the game, it's because someone on the other team was hacking.
Well, and to be fair, if you're hacking this game, you're probably not too hot because you're giving yourself this wicked handicap that you have to continually rely on. So, sure, we maybe got hit by a snipe once when I shouldn't have, or maybe that flame strike flew over a wall and hit me, and I didn't know that was a hacker. No big deal for me, but I'm glad they're cleaning up the pool.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it ruins the game landscape for everyone who is playing legitimately. Now, I don't know what hackers get out of it. I don't get it. I don't know if you've ever played The Sims and just given yourself $1 million. It's a really boring game afterwards. So,
I really enjoyed that when I was 13. You know, I realized this past week that I beat Brood War for the very first time without any cheats. And it was, some hard work. It is a strategy game. I just skipped all the dumb units that have really awful moves and actually kind of swiftly won it. But 13-year-old Kyle didn't understand mechanics or builds or counters or anything like that. And cheating was a blast. I loved doing no cooldowns on my abilities, constant storms, full energy, everything's invincible.
And now I'm trying to think about a game that I beat that I don't think I've ever beat without. I think the original Half-Life. I'm not sure I've ever beat the original Half-Life without cheats. And I don't feel the need to go back because that giant baby fight is stupid.
Yeah, that is. When I was younger, I also didn't beat Jedi Knight.
That would be Dark Forces 2 would be Jedi Outcast, I believe.
Wait, Jedi Outcast. Yes, that'd be it. That'd be the better graphics one. The one that actually kind of holds up still.
Oh, the better graphics one would have been Jedi Academy.
That came after Jedi Outcast. Yeah, so it is Jedi Outcast.
Yeah. With
Kyle. Woo, Kyle.
Kyle Katarn, man. Katarn. Oh, the Dark Forces games.
Good games.
I beat Dark Forces 1 on the first computer my family ever had without a sound card.
But man, why were they called shovels? I never understood that. When you put your talent points into your force spells, they were called shovels.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
That was weird.
That is weird. Let's dip real quick back into the PTR scaling map that we discussed last week. A lot of callbacks on this episode. Episode 58 for the hackers, episode 69 for the patch notes, and episode 69 for the scaling test map that we're just about to talk about. Because Heroes of the Storm Redditor Pious Flea 84 posted some very welcome math regarding the PTR scaling test. And kind of broke it down. He said, quote, the current live game uses additive scaling. So if an ETC gains 220 HP going from level 1 to 2, he gains 220 XP going from level 20 to level 21. This makes sorry, what'd I say?
XP.
Oh, XP, I meant HP. My bad.
Darn gaming lingo.
Health power. He said that this makes early levels disproportionately important because 220 health is enormous when you are a lowbie. It's contributing to a lot of snowballing, and I can see why Blizzard wants to make a change. Which I'm glad you included this because this just kind of spells it out black and white way better than I think we did last week.
Right. So basically, it's homogenization. Our warriors are increasing at the same rates. Our assassins are increasing at the same rates. Supports, specialists, same sort of thing. When we played our aftershow game last week, we were getting decimated by Asmodan.
Yeah.
For some reason. There's a lot of mysteries on this. I can see why moving into the future, Blizzard would want hardcore math to just make creating heroes easier. It's hard for us to judge because, well, we know what this tastes like. Yeah, chocolate. Everyone loves chocolate. Woo! And then you change the taste of it, even though it's more effective, maybe has, better sugar content. You're getting rid of, corn syrup or something. We like the old version.
You just described every single time McDonald's has changed their fry recipe.
Right. Why? No one had a problem, did they?
Probably because it's killing you slightly less.
Yeah, well, I fully accept that. One, we're idiots in 2015, and 3015 is going to look us all like we look at, the Victorian era, with people rubbing mercury into their skin to reduce blemishes.
Hindsight is 2020, Kyle.
It is. It's a little better than 2020.
And we won't be alive in 3015 to hear their ridicule. So whatever.
Nope.
Bite my shiny metal ass, you future jerks.
I just hope my MySpace can be on display in some museum somewhere. This is what an angsty teenager looked like in 2001.
Oh, he really liked My Chemical Romance.
Yes, you can see it right here. Him was on the top.
Him. Oh, God. So great. So absolutely wonderful.
But Blizzard has admitted that the scaling map does have some issue heroes that weren't actually scaled correctly, and they've just straight up removed them until they can fix it. Right. Sergeant Hammer, Lost Vikings, Rexar, Diablo, Nova, Lili, and Kael'thas were all ridiculously underpowered when compared to their homogenized, increased heroes.
Yeah, it was nuts. And we had a Rexar on our team last week when we did that aftershow game, and it was not working out well.
No,
not at all. Not at all. So don't need to worry about it now because you can't play him on that test map.
Right, and this tells me that this isn't coming anytime soon. The fact that they're just straight up removing heroes, this isn't some sort of PTR incoming in 3 weeks. This is straight up testing. And the response has been reserved because of that. We all understand that this is just for experiment's sake. If we made that extra step, if Blizzard made us know this was coming down the line, I think there'd be a lot of upset people.
Yeah, it seems really mixed. Everything I've read on Reddit is no one can really. I don't hear a unified opinion on the subject.
And that's because they're changing the values of our heroes. Some become much better in these situations, and it feels great. Whereas you take Rhaegar and give him the health of Kharazim, suddenly Rhaegar's not that secondary tank you might use him as.
Right. So that's the thing. Like, I think I'm erring on the side of I'm less for this change because I like that each hero has its own feel and personality. Mm-hmm. And it's not just like all healers feel like this in terms of how squishy or not squishy they are. Same thing with tanks, and same things with assassins, and same thing with support or specialists. I don't know. I get it. I wouldn't mind the whole leveling process being smoothed out a bit, being a little less snowbally, a little less jumpy in the early games. But I also don't want to lose the kind of individuality that the heroes currently have.
Exactly. I think we can all agree that slightly longer death timers in the beginning of the game are great.
Yeah, just bring that in. What are we waiting for, right?
Sure.
Bring that into the game right now.
And it makes those powers that deal with death, stuff like Uther and Skeleton King, more powerful when those death timers are longer.
Absolutely.
So that gives them more personality, and we actually get tributes rather than fight over them forever.
Not that I think anyone was arguing that Skeleton King's trait was anything, anything shy of probably the best damn trait in the game. Just saying. I'm biased. I'm a little sick of the spooky Skeleton King resurrecting right on top of the tribute while I'm trying to cap it.
He's fallen, man. I think all these tanks, they're taking his place.
Good. Thank you. Before we move into the strategy, let's thank some patrons this week. If you want to support Into the Nexus, if you like what we're doing, you can head on over to patreon.com/ITN. This week we want to thank Boak J. I'm butchering your name, I'm sorry. Lucas G, Mike S, Micah, and Brian Z. Thank you all so much for supporting Into the Nexus. We really appreciate it. Also, we're in October. We need to figure out when we're doing our call-in episode.
Yeah, should probably do that before you get too busy with your wedding.
Yeah, let's see. I have Friday the 23rd off. We'll
Cool, call it.
We'll probably do it Friday the 23rd. We'll put a
All right,
time
it's
up
done.
later. So we'll do it during the day, so it's a little easier on everybody, including our European listeners. So
Yeah, share the love.
yeah, maybe depending on how busy the day is, maybe we can stick around and do some after-show games with European viewers too. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Although there's region locking, so that'll also be a problem.
We'd have Vala, though. We would be talent locked, though, yes.
You and I go over to the European server, each play on opposite teams, and both be forced to play Vala, is basically what you're saying?
It's the free-to-play rotation or Vala.
Or Vala.
Or Artanis, actually, because it will be past the 20th.
Ooh, you're right. Ooh.
A talent-locked Artanis, but yes, Artanis nonetheless.
Yep. We'll figure it out. But thanks again, patrons. We really do appreciate it. Now, it is time for this week's strategies.
Choose a talent.
Choose a talent.
Talent? Ah, that seems generous.
Yeah, no clue what that means.
Welcome to this week's strategy segment where we want to talk about baiting abilities because listener Hobbs writes in. Well, first off, I just want to know, where's Calvin? Did he allow you to write this email without him?
Love Calvin Hobbs.
So great. Hobbs says, I have a problem that I don't think has been brought up on the show before. I've noticed that during high burst/dive comp team fights, I become overwhelmed by everything that is happening on the screen all at once and unable to determine what exactly I should be doing in those deciding crucial seconds. Additionally, it is made more difficult when there are a million area effects going on at once, KT Phoenix, Jaina Blizzard, Rainer Battlecruiser, etc., making it hard to concentrate on the main target. Oftentimes, the fight is basically over after the few seconds it takes me to get my bearings on what is going on. How do you approach and determine what to do during such hectic team fights?
Cool.
Great question.
Yeah. A complicated one for sure.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I'm going to do my best today to avoid situational conversations because guess what? We can all say, oh, you forgot about this talent, Kyle. Or, in this certain situations, these abilities combo together. We're ignoring all those. We're going to go for basics here.
So, all right, so what you're trying to tell everyone is save your horrendously specific comments.
Right.
Okay.
Right. We're helping out Hobbs here.
Cool.
And the first thing we can do is realize that Hobbs is being entirely reactionary, which is bad. You're going in. It kind of sounds like you're being support because you're being pulled so many directions, but you could be playing an assassin that's just blowing up immediately.
That's also possible. So are you saying, I think I feel where you're going with this. Are you saying do your research, know the comp you're playing against, and keep mental notes on if you've seen the opponents use the heroics or not so that when you're entering a fight, you kind of know what could possibly happen before it happens?
Exactly. Well said.
All right. Wonderful. So,
and I was honestly a little shocked this week when I found out that this isn't something everyone does. I was in a fight. I was playing Asmodee, and I had Reign of Demons on this map because it was Blackheart's Bay. And there was a Kerrigan coming down the line, decimating my teammates, just running through. She's got Maelstrom going, the electricity shooting out. She's got this ridiculously huge shield, and everyone's like, Asmodee, do something. And I wait, and I make sure I'm being patient, and then finally Maelstrom goes away, and that's when I rain my demons down. Because I know that those demons would get hit by the lightning, giving Kerrigan more shielding, more power, more damage in some regards. And by raining them after the fact, they couldn't clean up. She's got, limited area effect abilities outside of that. And in fact, all the little demons surrounded everyone. It was chaos, and we won the fight.
Knowing when not to do anything is really freaking important. Also something I don't think we've really talked about on the show before. I know we've discussed game states where it seems like there's nothing you can be doing. All the merc camps are taking, all the lanes are pushed out in your favor. You're really ahead, and it kind of feels like, well, there's really nothing we can do. That's okay. Don't do anything.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely a time to be patient. But You're absolutely right, Garrett. When you go into team fights, it's getting past that 16-minute mark. The team fights are getting really important. Everyone has their heroic abilities. You do need to keep in mind a checklist of things you see. And let's start really, really small. Let's go with just basic abilities. These are going to be things that, for the most part, snag, stun, or things you don't want to be standing in anyway.
Yeah, your blizzards, your flame strikes. If you saw a singularity spike go off from a zero tool.
Yep, the big ones that you often think of are like Howling Blast. You got a Tyrande Lunar Flare that comes down. Butcher's Charge. Stitch's Hook.
Hammer of Justice from Uther.
Yep, all these things are actually on almost 12-second cooldowns. For the most part, you can even talent Butcher's Charge to be about 12 seconds. And so by keeping that tally in your head, you see that Anubarak, burrow charge a teammate. Well, now if you understand the ability, you can say, I know I have 16 seconds until he can do that again. And by keeping that mental tally, and it is a lot, you do have to understand every single hero, but you're making these choices in your head before team fights to look for them and then react. And possibly hold back an ability, zone out in that case. So let's go with Tyrande Lunar Flare. It's a very simple one. It's a very dangerous ability against a good Tyrande.
Yeah.
You see that go out. All right, cool. Stun is out. She now has 12 seconds till she can use it again. Guess what's 12 seconds long, Garrett?
What?
The Happy Birthday song.
I would argue that that's subjective and depends on how fast you're singing it.
Right, but if you're doing a nice calm... Okay, so how about this then? Aerosmith's main verse of the Armageddon song is 12 seconds long.
This took such a weird turn. Don't Want to Miss a Thing is the song you're thinking about, by the way, and if I ever hear it again, I'm going to stab somebody. And I like Aerosmith. I just never want to hear that song again.
Here, take off your headphones, all right?
No.
Oh, okay, all right then. Here it comes. Tyrande Lunar Flare goes out. I don't want to close my eyes. I don't want to fall asleep because I miss you, baby. And I don't want to miss a thing. And then that's 12 seconds. Sing Happy Birthday to yourself. It'll work. If you don't know the actual timing of these abilities, that could actually help you.
Okay, I'm going to poke some holes in this.
All right.
I'm going to be that guy that sends you incredibly specific. Actually, no, this isn't incredibly specific. Any team you're going to go up against is going to have more than one 12-second ability you are going to want to look for and keep track of. And I'm not sure that, that starting to sing a song is going to help you all that much. You shouldn't be thinking about the lyrics to a terrible movie soundtrack. You should be thinking about what you should be doing right now in the game.
Well, a really obvious one is Stitch's Hook. It's 16 seconds long.
Mm-hmm.
So you see the hook go out, it's time to get nuts because you've got 16 seconds until you need to worry about your positioning yet again. Okay,
yeah. So I'm still laughing at chat room's reaction to your they're defending you, man. They're defending you. Muffin
These
Pickle
are tricks, tricks for you guys at home. Now let's talk about the heroics because those are a bigger deal. And there's a cutoff point because some heroics have cooldowns as low as 40 seconds. Some heroics go up to a full 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Those 2-minute ones are ETC's Mosh Pit and Illidan's Metamorphosis.
I would say in Hobbs's case where he's talking about how to react to one specific team fight, that if you see any heroic go off, that you're kind of safe to just operate knowing that will not be happening again for a while.
But there are certainly ones that you will want to think about baiting out. Mm-hmm. And the big ones I think of are, there's tons of them, right? Every ability, if you can get them to whiff it, is great. But Anubarak's Locus and Kerrigan's Maelstrom are two abilities that you don't want to be anywhere near because you're actively healing or shielding them. Mm-hmm. So by getting everyone into the fight, getting in the area, acting like you're going to go for it, and then the second you see those abilities pop, getting out is the best thing you can do. This works with Lily Cups and also Malfurion's Tranquility, because if you can get him to pop that in what he thinks is an emergency situation, you can win it out. It's one of the reasons why Rhaegar's win rate is so low right now, because dive comps will go on, the Kael'thas or something just real heavy for half a second. He goes, oh crap, my Kael'thas is at half health, loses his biggest heal he has, And then the team just goes, just kidding. We didn't really want the Kael toss. We want you.
Right. Absolutely. Other big things are any of the heroics that set up wombo combos. So your Maws, your Void Prisons, your Grav Bombs. If you can bait those out, beautiful.
Right, and then it's important to note that those sort of abilities are on smaller cooldowns for the most part. The gravity bomb reduces itself, usually is around every minute. If you know that an enemy has under a minute long cooldown, it's going to be ready every fight. Because guess what? Big ol' fight's going to break out. It's past level 10. They're going to be dead for 30 seconds. That fight probably lasted 15 seconds. You're then going to ride across the map to rejoin your team for 15 seconds, and everyone's ready to go yet again. So time out your heroic with your enemies. If you end up using the Hunt, you can be sure that the enemy is going to have Divine Palm ready again.
Yeah. I kind of want to do like team composition flashcards with you now.
Oh, see if you can like call the
I want to tell you 5 heroes that you're facing, and I want you to tell me exactly what you're looking for in the team fight. What you're avoiding, what you're trying to bait out.
I mean, do you have one in mind? I can give it a shot.
Just off the top of my head, your opposing team is Jaina, Johanna, Leoric, Rhaegar, Nazebo.
Okay, cool. So my biggest concern there is probably Blizzard, because that's going to be my most frequent interrupt. And by making that distinction in my head, I'm removing a ton of work I will have to do otherwise, because it's frankly just ridiculous to keep this many cooldowns counting in your head. Like you just said, you can't sing happy birthday like row, row, row your boat. You can only have one version of the song going in your head at the same time.
Right.
But by choosing those priority targets for yourself, you're going to be thinking, okay, excellent. There's the Blizzard. That is the offensive ability I'm looking for. Defensive-wise, I'm looking at probably Johanna there. I want to keep a mental tracker on her 20-second Iron Skin, because when that goes up, I can wait for it. Okay, there's the cooldown, and it's done. Great, here come the stuns. I'm ready to use those. I've got a 16-second window to unleash those.
Yeah. Also, obviously, you want to keep in mind on her shield, because it's a big stun. Usually tends to initiate things, but keep an eye on that. And condemn. Like if you see condemn go off, it's at least safe for a few seconds to kind of get close to the Johanna again. You don't need to worry about having that. Sorry.
Baited abilities there. Leoric is probably one of my big ones, because we'll all want to kind of like group up and pretend like, oh, look how juicy this is for your sweet march, Leoric. And then we all just scatter. It does nothing. He oversteps his bounds and we blow him up.
Yeah. I love that. It's just like, come on, man. You want to smack the crap out of us. Mm-mm. Oh, just kidding.
I'm so juicy. Oh, I'm so alone. This is why we're seeing so many amazing Abathur plays too, because they will like dig into lane and be like, oh no, oops, Abathur messed up. And guess what? Everyone's right in the bush there. And who can resist a juicy Abathur?
Yeah. Chat room, I'm aware Johanna's stun was nerfed. It's still going to be the top pick talent, and it is still an ability you need to look out for.
Well, and absolutely. It's an initiate, which is the big deal. Regardless of how small the stun is, it's enough to get the grab and encourage the rest of the team to dive on them. If I saw shield go out, I go, oh, it's go time, and I lay down my gravity bomb and everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. So, any closing thoughts on this?
The really hard ones here are going to be the ones that are 100-second cooldowns. And first and foremost is Zeratul Void Prison, which the nerf has helped a bit, but his win rate's actually gone up because he's murdering Morales, frankly, over and over again. But that 100-second cooldown is going to be ready, every 1.5 fights you have. It's tough to know, and they'll really hold on to it. In these cases, you need to use the tab. If you click tab, if you go to spec, you can see the cooldown on everyone's abilities. It's not elegant. I think we can all agree that we would like maybe some health bars on the screen, particularly for supports. We would love to see little boxes in the corners like we have on the overlays.
Oh, way to jump ahead on an email we haven't read yet.
Oh, sorry. I didn't even mean to do that. But those sort of tools could make it a lot easier to constantly check on. But hitting that tab, checking the spec, and seeing when Void Prison is ready is really going to be the best way to check that out.
Yeah. I agree. Also, they are long enough that if you see them happen outside, if you see them happen in the game outside of a team fight, and a team fight happens 30 seconds, a minute later, you know you're probably still safe for a little while. You can just take a mental checklist. I'm pretty sure that's not up yet, and then just go in. Of course, obviously, it's safer to actually hit tab and see exactly how many seconds are left on the cooldown.
Right.
But, yeah. Anyways, I think that'll just about cover it. Hopefully,
right, let's wrap it up in a pretty box.
Yeah.
Remember what I did there when Garrett described the comp? I only picked out 2 things I really concerned myself with.
Yeah, really the big thing would be know the composition you are playing against, and know and make a personal mental checklist of the top most problematic abilities that you're going to want to watch out for when you enter that team fight, so that when you see them, there might be 3 other things happening at the same time, but 2 of those 3 aren't nearly as bad to be standing in as the blizzard that's right underneath your feet.
Exactly. If you're just getting into this game or you're in the lower ranks, put all of that energy towards stuns. Those are the things that's really going to mess your group up.
Yep. Absolutely. So hopefully we helped you, Hobbs. Feel free to check in and tell us that we screwed up entirely, or if we actually helped you. Either way, I'd like to know. Now, let's take an email or 2.
Darkness stopped calling.
I hear the wilds call. Wait, nature calls.
Okay, tell them I'm not here.
You can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. We actually have a call today, Kyle.
Ooh,
Yeah,
how fancy.
Comes in from MKB. And by the way, everyone, if you want to send in your calls, you can just record them, send them as an MP3 format to itncast@gmail.com. Keep them as short as possible, and I will actually play them, I promise.
This is an excellent call in that regard.
Yes, it is.
To the point.
Hey gentlemen, this is MKB in Oakland, California, and I have kind of a basic question. I don't understand how tanks are supposed to work in any PvP setting. In PvE makes perfect sense, they have aggro mechanics and all that, but in PvP, don't other players know just to focus fire the DPS and ignore the tank? What's the deal there? Help me out.
And I get his question to a certain point, I guess.
Right. He's thinking more World of Warcraft, where you actually taunt things.
Right. But I feel like the main thing I guess I would bring up as my starting point with explaining why tanks are important in a MOBA setting is the position of your team, and the tank is going to be your front line. Or in the case of heroes, you might have multiple tanks are going to be your front line. So yes, while people can choose just not to target them, you can move and position in such a way that you're forced to deal with the tank in some way, shape, or form.
Right. There's really 3 ways to tank. And they're all sort of a bouncer kind of role for your team. There are the positional guys and the interrupt guys. These are your ETCs that Johannas. No matter what you try to do, no matter how you try to get to that back line, you're getting pushed around, body blocked, stunned over and over again. And it makes you go, well, fine, I'll wail on you, ETC. And you've made the wrong choice. You lose the game.
Yeah.
So that's what they're trying to make you do.
They're disruptors.
Right. Another one is a DPS tank, which is a little more rare these days because Blizzard has continued to nerf them out a bit. But these are the guys that are doing such high damage that they can't be ignored. Skeleton King was like this in the past. Diablo also, with his lightning breath, that's why I like to do lightning breath on Diablo, can be this, because you're becoming interruptible, you're zoning a huge area, and you frankly just can't be ignored.
Uninterruptible, in the case of lightning breath. Arthas, DPS tank. Does a lot of damage, has a decent amount of self-sustain. You have to kind of get away from him so he can kind of push people away. It's like keep away with Arthas.
Right. Chen is a great disruptor these days, not so much because he actually pushes, slows, or does anything to anyone else. He just leaps ahead, and he's such a big presence and an annoyance jumping around your whole team that he actually tanks in that regard. And the final one is Initiator. You want the tank to have the health to actually get in there first, take a whole bunch of shots, but actually call the fight for your team, and then have the ability to heal himself up once he's in there.
Yeah. Do you have a particular favorite initiator?
Yes, it's Diablo.
Diablo.
Yeah, it's so loud, and for spec, for comps that I want to take Diablo in, it's ones where my group really has a lot of slows but no stuns. Like I've got the Jaina, I've got like a Nazebo. Our damage is great, but we're gonna have a really hard time isolating someone. If I took Skeleton King into that, I'm just doing big handfuls. Johanna even kind of pulls big handfuls towards herself. But with Diablo, I'm calling the shot absolutely. I walk in, I pick a dude up, and I slam him back, and everyone goes, "Oh, that guy! let's kill him. He's right here."
It's nice and
very
obvious.
Convenient for everyone.
Yeah. I like Johanna. Granted, she has to be past level 10. If she has her shield, she can initiate fights quite well. But yeah, cool.
As for your positioning point, you can also think about, which tank you want for which job there based on how much movement speed they have. Because frankly, ETC, because of Power Slide, or Chen, because of his dive, is going to be a much better zoner than something like, maybe a Johanna who has to walk the whole way there. Sure, she'll pull people once she's there, but if you're out of position from the get-go, you're not protecting anybody.
No, you're as Johanna, you're kind of at the mercy of your team to make sure they move their butts behind you. Because you're not going to be able to close the gap and wrest control of the positioning battle for them. They're going to have to kind of keep tabs on you.
Right, and even if you were in the group inside your own team, you're just pulling people closer to them, and that can be really dangerous. Whereas instead, you might want something like an ETC that knocks everyone back in that case.
Yeah.
The final thing to note about, tanks is you can actually tank in this game for the PvE segments. If you're on a mercenary camp, you just need to stand more inside the enemy than anyone else is.
Yeah.
So that Garden Terror, the computer one anyway, that you want the seeds from, is wailing on your teammate. You just need to take a couple steps closer to the target than they actually are. And if they're also inside, you need to tell them to get out.
Yeah. I've had that happen. There's a point where it's like so close you can't click on it without clicking on its hitbox, which doesn't move you. And that can be a bit distressing. That's when I go, Kyle, move. Sorry, Garrett.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize I was taking the damage. Of course, if you want to, you can use your tools, your stutter step abilities, your H button to click past the thing. Then you'll walk through it, hit H once you're inside of it, and that'll actually position you better than trying to click on that hitbox.
Right. The one last point I'd like to add is that there are skill shots in this game, so you can intercept hits as a tank if you're looking for them.
Excellent point. I would have forgotten about that. Is so important. The fact that the tank should be the last one out, and when those squishies are running away, if you've got that Jaina chasing you, actually body blocking incoming frostbolts is a huge deal.
Huge thing, yeah. Frostbolts, triple taps, Sentinel if they're not spec'd to pierce. It's nice. It's a good thing. It's the mark of a good tank. Nothing makes me happier than saving people's bacons as Arthas in Quick Match from Novas with triple tap. And every single time I get an emoji smiley face. Just warms my frozen, evil black heart.
Arthas, I've been loving him a lot this week.
Oh, really? I don't think I've ever seen you play Arthas.
No, I finally picked him up. Because of win rates and whatnot, I really just wanted to try him. Of course, early on, it was just because we played a lot together and you played a ton of Arthas. So I was like, okay, Arthas is yours. I'll work on other characters. But man, do you need some of those talents. You really do not have any diversity.
No.
You got a tank, you need that Regeneration Master, that Rune Tap, that level 20 Hardened Shield, Stone Skin. Like, all these are just so amazing. And once you have them stacked, boy, can you tank. But you get a little creative on the side, and nope, you're done.
Yeah, I feel like you don't have to take Stone Skin if things are going well and you trust your healer. Because that's, if I'm remembering correctly, I don't play Arthas as often as everyone else. That's the same level as, let's see, Stone Skin is the same level as Frostborn Feeds, which I love. Yeah, that's level 16. That makes your Frostborn Hungers apply to your next two basic attacks. It's a lot more damage. It's a lot more mana. I love it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. I get really seduced. One, because I got Frostmourne right here in the background. I'm a little excited about Frostmourne, and there is something really cool about MOBA characters that just have swords and not really any magic. It's why I loved Blade Master in the old Warcraft 3 version.
Right.
Just it's cool.
Yeah.
Anime's cool, and beating people up with swords is cool.
Yeah. And if you really just want to mess with people, I like Embrace Death at 16. That's the one that makes your Death Coil deal 20% more damage for each 10% of life that you were missing. This is my favorite thing to do when a Nova thinks that she can surprise kill me by herself when I get caught out and there's just a Nova and she calls down her Orbital Strike. Just stand in the Orbital Strike and then kill her with your Death Coil. It's wonderful.
It just blew my mind. Honestly, across just about every other tank, I never take Hardened Shield.
Yeah, no, I agree, but it's amazing on Arthas. It's really good.
Something about Arthas. I think it's because you have no movement abilities. You just you have to walk out of everything.
That's probably why I took to Johanna so with really little to no issue, because Arthas feels incredibly similar. There's no movement abilities whatsoever, and your whole the whole way that you function as a tank is to just be such an unkillable wall of badass that it doesn't matter what's happening to you.
By the way, Howling Blast, 12-second cooldown. Sing that happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Lich King. Yeah, so there's your little mini Arthas segment for this week. Our second email, well, really first email, not a call, whatever. Chad writes in and says, what do you guys think about the in-game UI adding some components of the Observer UI? Kyle Ferguson, who ruined this email early. Specifically, I'm talking about being able to see your teammates' health and heroic cooldowns in one of the corners of the screen. I know you can see your teammates' heroic cooldowns if you tab into talents. Actually, you can see your opponents as well. But it's not the most effective thing to do in the middle of a fight. That is, however, correct. It is not effective at all. It is terrible. What made me think of this is I was playing Uther, as I normally do with my CC stun build. I'm also level 16 with Uther, so I know what it be, son. I love that. In a Hero League game, me and Murky came across an Illidan after a Sky Temple team fight. All three of us were around 25% health. Illidan dived straight at me with reckless abandon, as many Illadins do. I thought to myself, how nice to meet you, Mr. Storage. Prepare to be octo-grabbed and killed. I confidently engaged Illidan with Murky catching up behind me. I wait for the octo-grab that never comes, and we both die. Before I lightly season Murky with salt before cooking his fishy goodness, I check his heroic, and it was indeed on cooldown. If I could glance at a teammate's portrait and see if their heroic was on cooldown, it would greatly assist in knowing when to engage and when not to. And I completely agree with you, Chad. I'm torn on this, because I kind of like... I like that it really pays off to be in a pre-made with voice chat and good communication. But at the same time, I think I'd really like this in the game. Personally, I think I would love the crap out of this, and I feel like it would make my pickup games a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, certainly combo dependent. It's tough to say, what Blizzard holds on to for the pro scene. I mean, like I talked about StarCraft a while ago, there's a lot of mechanics I'd love to see go, but they're hard to do. And that's what gives, that skill ceiling an even higher roof. So is the fact that we, don't put those things in, that we avoid really descript health bars, are those so that we can realize some of these cool things? Or is it holding us back? And I think Blizzard is doing a great job with the baby steps they take with the UI. It's frustrating not knowing when your well was ready without looking at it, or knowing how many stacks of something you had. But I'm happy to know that it's not getting bloated constantly.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I also feel like there's like a slippery slope argument for this. Like, where does it stop? If we get heroic timers, are we going to get all 4 abilities timers?
Right, and I don't want to see both the player's name unstoppable above that, and then their health number and their mana number, and then we just look like we're playing, Football Manager on Steam there, which every time that goes on sale, it blows my mind.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a fine line. As a healer, obviously, I'd love health bars that I could click on to actually heal, but that's also I don't know. I think an argument could be made that healing in Heroes of the Storm should be just as shouldn't be treated any differently than landing an attack on an enemy. So I don't know.
Right. And what happens, that we've got kind of a heal bot interface where everyone's grayed out if they're not in range.
Again, not
Wouldn't
against
work
any
for
of this. I'm just not.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the correct. As it stands, I like how clean everything is. I like how uncluttered the screen is. At the same time, I would love to have heroic timers.
Right, and it's also an argument that could be made for the information on screen for new viewers. And we have a lot of people, we see the Twitch numbers that Heroes of the Storm still is in its infancy over there and doesn't always perform well when compared to the other MOBAs. And a lot of people are citing that when new people show up and look at the gameplay, they think, oh, this is too simple. There's no information, there's no gold, there's no goals to achieve. You're just wailing on things until you have levels, and then it snowballs and you win. Whereas if you actually play the game, there's a ton going on in the background. And like we just talked to about timing out abilities and hitting the tab screen, like these are all really important things.
Right. Part of the reason I want to see the UI that was used in the America's Championships everywhere. Like, show me all the talents all the time. That's wonderful information to have. That's a really important thing. I mean, one of the simplest things that we can tell anyone who's new to the game is like, oh, how do I know when to engage and when not to engage? It's like, well, are you up? Are you behind, or are you equal at talent levels? Like, well, what's a talent level? It's what certain levels you get certain talents, and if you're behind a talent level, it's a bad time to engage, especially at level 10, below that. So. Oh, it's tough. I mean, as far as Observer UI, get as nuts as you want to be. I don't understand really wanting to be conservative with that. Obviously, you want a nice frame of view, but games like Dota, games like League of Legends have proven that you can show a lot of information on the screen and still see what is going on.
Right, but they've also made those choices during their big events to have like companion websites. And what I'm really excited for is that technology that's being worked on for clickable videos.
Clickable videos?
Yeah, they're working on some cool stuff, particularly with like live streaming Dota, where you can hover over the screen if they're on a certain character and you can read the ability text or read what that item is up to.
Oh, so basically the experience we get to have by watching Dota tournaments in Dota.
Right, exactly.
Okay, gotcha. So the thing that already exists that should be in every other game, especially Blizzard games, but for some reason it's not there?
But the technology isn't there yet.
It's there in other games, Kyle.
I know, man, it's maddening, isn't it?
It's there in other games, Kyle. It's there in other games that are really good and I enjoy, but I don't enjoy nearly as much as these games.
Right, because we've cut the fluff, which is, I got sick of trying to teach my friends how to last hit. It's much easier to go, here's heroes, have fun. Let's all have fun.
Can you kill something? I can. Then kill it.
Cool, do it.
Go. Except maybe not that mercenary camp. No, not the giant skull thing. Oh, that was
so I think we can all agree that that nice box they've made up top for the Observer UI, let's get it. It would be important to me know, like for the snap decision that Zeratul went first aid, and to see that up in the top bar, I could go, oh, cool. I'm not going to heal him. He's got first aid.
Yeah,
my Holy Light is better somewhere else.
The way I see it, if we can tab and see this information, I don't see any reason why this information shouldn't just be part of the main UI, so we do not have to tab to see it.
Agreed. And options. Options galore. Turn it off, turn it on, simplified UI for beginners, unlock new AI as you level, whatever.
I disagree. I want this information forced upon every single person I have to play this game with.
Fair enough. There's a good point for that.
I don't want my pickup group teammates going in not knowing that they could turn on the really freaking helpful information panel, which is what it should actually be called in the menu if it is a clickable checkbox.
I guess it doesn't matter too much since Diablo is a single-player game for the most part, but there are some options in there that are pretty weird. If you're just getting in for the first time, you're like, wait, you mean I can unlock all these abilities and I'm not forced to have one of each tier? This changes everything.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I mean, I could have all my buttons be phalanx on my Crusader.
Just all phalanx. Just smack your keyboard and things die.
Yep. Just to stand back and summons. But maybe I've been playing too much Witch Doctor for years.
I think so. That's definitely not how I play my Crusader, but to each their own, and that's kind of what's gorgeous about I almost said Halo. Why did I say Halo?
Because you got Halo on the mind? Are you excited about Halo or something?
Not really. I'm excited about Destiny. I was graciously gifted the Taken King.
Oh my.
And
that is a gracious gift.
And I'm pretty sure it's not just because I didn't pay for it. Destiny's pretty awesome now. Like really freaking awesome. I'm really enjoying it. These
reviews on Battlefield aren't looking too hot though.
Battlefield?
Yeah, the Star Wars game.
Oh, Battlefront.
Battlefront, yeah.
Really, everything I read was pretty optimistic.
Oh, no. Well, I'm talking about streamers. I'm not talking about, early reviews that may or may not have money involved and other things.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I got nothing for you. The streamers, I feel like, are
Entitled, perhaps?
It depends on the streamer.
Okay, fair enough.
It incredibly depends on the streamer, what type of feedback you're going to be getting. Do they play a bunch of Call of Duty? Well, I'm not really sure if I care about their opinion of a shooter because I'm not big on Call of Duty. Halo, on the other hand, I might want to hear someone who really enjoys Halo. I might want their opinion because I really like Halo. It depends. Shooters are different. I don't know. I read a bunch of, I think it was Polygon. They had a bunch of their different authors give their kind of instant thoughts on it. And they were all pretty positive. I don't care. Whatever happens, I'm buying Battlefront because the first two were some of my favorite games ever. And there's nothing anybody can tell me to stop, short of this thing will set your console on fire and kill your family. That is the only thing you could tell me to stop me from buying Battlefront.
All right. It's going to be fun no matter what, of course, with, people, friends running around.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And also, I don't know. I'm not a competitive FPS player. First-person shooter is one of my favorite genres of games, but it's strictly for the most part, Garrett needs to be alone and just have fun. I just want to shoot
maybe
things.
enjoy a story, feel overpowered.
Yeah. Exactly.
I am interested, of course, for Overwatch. Yeah, I played a lot of never competitive, never going for any sort of rank or point system with Team Fortress 1 and 2, but that'll be interesting to see what kind of world I get dragged into playing that thing.
Oh yeah, no, I'm looking very forward to Overwatch. It's bringing a lot of MOBA aesthetics with it, man.
Yeah.
Right, so. Yeah, Battlefront kills kittens. Okay, all right, fine. I like kittens. Fine, I won't buy. If that's true, I will not buy Battlefront. Thank you, chat room.
The official chat review. Oh, yeah. Darn it.
Yeah, now that we are talking about a game that is not in the title of this episode, I believe we are done, Kyle.
We're good.
I believe we are finished with Into the Nexus, episode 70. Thank you all. A big special thanks to our patrons over at patreon.com/ITN. Go on over there. Give us $1 if you really like the show. Or don't if you can't afford it. Totally fine. Whatever you want to do. Show will always be free, but we do appreciate the support. Also, thanks to those of you who are leaving us reviews in the iTunes store. We are caught up once again. So if you are an iTunes listener of Into the Nexus and you enjoy the show, go drop us a 5-star review because it helps the show out a ton. Thank you this week to Icarus95 and Slithy Tove, who says, funny, informative, and devoted acolytes of the Great Church of Gazlowe. All hail our glorious metal lord!
Praise be his bombs.
Did you see the most recent Carbot animations?
Oh, of course. That was excellent.
With the tennis ball. Just the in and out of the mines with the freaking stitches was killing me. It's like,
it made me think
bomb, more turrets, bomb, more turrets. I loved it. It was beautiful.
It made me think of the grave golem down in the mines. A little cuter too.
Oh yeah,
just kind of sitting there chilling.
Just sitting there, just like, what you building, buddy? What's that? Oh, cool. Hey, what's this thing that's Oh God, it was beautiful. It was wonderful. We might need to get Carbot back on. We used to, folks. If you want to see some interviews with Mr. Carbot, there's multiple old episodes of StarCast where we got to talk to him. Jonathan Burton. He's a great guy.
Very cool guy.
Really.
I love that his Patreon's doing so well, and he gets to pump out so many videos these days.
Oh yeah, totally awesome. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show. Into the Nexus is produced by amove.tv and our Patreon producer, Declan H. You can see more about this and all of the other AMove shows on amove.tv. Our email is itncast@gmail.com. You can catch us live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/amovetv. We are on Twitter at itncast, on Facebook /amovetv, and on Reddit at itnpodcast.reddit.com. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/amovetv. Check out alphageekradio.com and check out briangriffithmusic.com. He made our intro music, and it is fabulous. Kyle, where can folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Kyle Ferguson, and this next week we're doing a little bit of restructuring on the YouTubes. I'm going to get my own. I'm going to have my own Twitch channel where I'll be doing my solo Q&A. So follow that. This will be this last week, episode 20 of Solo Q&A was the last one that'll stream directly onto AMove TV and be posted over on the AMove TV YouTube. Those will all go over to my account. The videos right now say those things. There's links to them in the YouTube, so check those out as well. And then, of course, if you're looking for some help with heroes, I offer coaching. Check out KyleFerguson.com. I spelled my name the same everywhere. Congrats to me, so it's not too hard to find.
2 S's in Ferguson.
Yes, makes it Scottish.
That's the big difference. And I found that out when I started working with a guy with the last name Ferguson, and it had 1 S, and I constantly mistyped up all of his stuff for him. Because
you know what? Just you can think of us together as those dudes with multiple consonants.
Yeah, double R, double T, and double S. I want to say it was Patrick Beja one time said that I should go by R2T2 on the on the interwebs, and I'm like, damn, why didn't I ever think of that?
Yeah, what a waste.
Yeah.
All these years of branding and you just missed it.
Yeah, although when you say it really fast, people are just going to think you're saying D2.
Yeah.
R2T2. I guess. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, follow me on Twitter at Garrett Art, GarrettArt. I'm on NewMoonArt.com. That's my graphic design portfolio. I'm on The Angry Chicken talking Hearthstone, and I'm on The Angry Nerd talking to myself. Go check out The Angry Nerd. It's my new show. Been doing it for 4 weeks now. New episode just went up yesterday. I'm having a good time with it. Join me, won't you? And just because we aren't running ads at the top of the show anymore, it doesn't mean that these codes are any less awesome. Check out doghouse.systems.com, where the code ITN will get you a free solid-state drive added onto your gaming rig. And that same code, ITN, will get you 30% off and free shipping on your entire order of noise-reducing earbuds from tweaked.audio.com. Free shipping across the pond to Europe as well. Use that code as many times as you want. Thanks to you, everyone, for tuning in. We will see you in the after show games, where it looks like I'll be solo healing as Tyrande, at least for game 1. And until next time, good luck and have fun.
Take care.